everyone, and welcome back to Shelter 2. And we are here once again on the family tree screen, and boy, oh boy, is this family tree growing. It's huge now. It's absolutely huge. We are on generation, I think, 17 or 18 or something. Maybe even 19, but we've had a lot of generations, and so far the legacy has gone on. We've been very fortunate to be able to continue, but the time has come once again for us to choose a new lynx to continue with. And, oh dear, why is Heather's name cut off? Gracious, I just realized that. Was that the case the whole time and I just didn't see it? Darn it. It probably was. Anyway, at least we know her name. But, yeah, so you guys have voted amongst the 4 kittens. All of them did survive this time. Garnet did a very good job, despite being faced with a lot of different predators. And all of them made it. And you guys have voted out of these 4 that we continue with Heather. And so we're going to go ahead. We'll start a new game with her. And I'm still not over the fact that it messed up her name. I didn't know that was a thing. Can I click yes? There we go. It gets a little glitchy the further away you go. We'll go ahead and we'll skip the intro as well. It tends to get a little bit glitchier the farther your family tree progresses. The longer the list is, the more glitchy it gets. So hopefully someday we don't have to deal with the misclick and the wrong links being the one we choose. But yeah, I guess we'll just roll with it if that ever happens. But so far so good. It hasn't done that to us just yet. But here we go. Here is Heather and her kittens. And we're going to get to meet them momentarily. But there we go. It's winter time. You can see she has those striking white paws against her normally dark coat. And there are her babies. They're all so cute. Now, I don't know, it'll be interesting to play with Heather because she is a very, very feisty, bossy lynx who is definitely the dominant female of her litter. And it'll be interesting to see because, well, she certainly has the stubbornness and determination that she's gonna need. Will she have the sense? Will she be too stubborn and reckless, or will she be able to learn that she can't take every danger head on? But here we go. We're going to go ahead and name the kittens. I already have names picked out once again, and we've been kind of going with themed names this season, and we're going to continue that trend, and this time we're going to go with the theme of the 4 elements. So we started off with 4 seasons, and we've had a similar theme since, but our 4 kittens here, the red kitten is going to be Blaze, the brown kitten is going to be River, the white kitten is Cloud, not Cloud, and the dark kitten is Slate, and Slate is the only male of this. Now, these guys are kind of representative of the 4 elements. I figured it'd be a fitting theme to keep with having all the litters have kind of a common trend, and so these will be the names of the kittens that we'll be playing as this time, and hopefully going to keep alive. Now, we're going to go ahead and let Heather set out. I'm still not over her name being messed up. I forgot you only had 6 spots, and apparently I did not catch that when I was naming them, and it was never important because we just knew she was named Heather. So she ventures into the vast open world, a land full of prey to feed her starving family who are not yet strong enough to leave their warmth and shelter. So here we go. Heather is going to set out into the world, and we're going to do our best to find some food and keep these guys alive, and hopefully nothing super bad happens. Now, we've been talking a little bit about how we haven't been to the mountains recently, and honestly, I think Heather is just the sort of lynx who would be willing to brave it and who would take that risk because she is a very strong lynx. She's very stubborn. She's very determined. But she also... I don't know. Oh, gracious. She also kind of strikes me as the one who would have not just stubbornness and determination, but maybe a bit of recklessness about her as well. She was always very dominant. But, I don't know. I just feel like out of any of the lynxes we've had so far, if anyone's going to go to the mountains, it'll be Heather. And hopefully that will not prove to be a disaster, as it has been the past few times we've been there. But we shall see. If anyone can conquer the mountains, perhaps it will be Heather. Perhaps she has the strength and tenacity to be able to not just face the mountains, but to finally triumph and to finally lead her family safely through, because so many others have failed to successfully get their kittens through the mountains. And it's definitely somewhere we haven't been for a while, and I would like to see us overcome it at some point, so perhaps Heather will be the one to finally prove that it's possible. Or perhaps we will see that her stubbornness and her recklessness are going to end up getting the better of her. Only time will tell. Now, there should be more prey around here somewhere. The only problem is I'm not actually seeing anything, and that's kind of worrying. Hopefully there will be more prey around here somewhere. Oh, you can see the ground is now... The snow is melting, the ground is now becoming visible. And still there are no rabbits. Great. That's gonna be kind of tough. Now, the good thing about the mountains, well, I shouldn't say entirely, but there's really not as many predators as there seem to have been around here. We haven't ever run into as many, at least. And so, you know what? The rabbits will run away from you, won't they? I wonder. I feel like Heather is very, very smart, but sometimes doesn't necessarily use all of her common sense, and sometimes she can be a little too quick to leap in without thinking. But she might be the exact sort of lynx to try and see if it's possible to not only hunt for food, but to shift the tables in her favor and try and gain the upper paw, the upper hand, whatever you'd like to call it, perhaps by, oops, there we go, we cannot get stuck there, by choosing the direction her prey may run to an extent. She can't control where they run, but she can choose what side she scares them from, and it does seem to have worked. So that's something to keep in mind. If we're trying to avoid the prey running a certain direction, we can choose to sneak around them, try and circle them perhaps, and maybe that will actually not only give us the chance to catch some prey, but to make sure we can kind of choose the direction that we are steering the prey in, so that it'll be easier for us to catch. So that's something that I don't think we've ever really tried before, and I think I may have toyed with the idea a little bit, but up until now, we've mostly just focused on catching the prey. So knowing that we can do that it kind of works. I mean, it's not quite perfect, but knowing that it kind of works is something that could definitely be helpful to us in the future here. So let's go ahead and we'll grab this rabbit here. Oh, and what I was trying to say about them last time, I got all tripped up with my words because stuff started happening. So these are technically probably hares. Rabbits and hares are separate, they are distinct, and one of the main sources of prey for a lynx is the snowshoe hare, and so while I've been calling them rabbits, and it's kind of an easy mistake to make, and a lot of people do tend to use those terms interchangeably, technically they're not. Technically there is a distinction between hares and rabbits, and that's what I was trying to say last episode when I got a little bit slipped up there. So, there technically is a difference. These guys should be considered hares, most likely. I might still call them bunnies, which... usually when you say bunny, you're referring to a domestic rabbit. So again, not quite the proper term. But in any case, we should know and remember that these are most likely hares. I don't think they are actually rabbits in the sense that most people think of when and that the actual term rabbits refers to. Also, we talked last time about the idea of maybe having an episode at the end of every litter here where we just run around with our mother lynx and try and see if we can find some of the collectibles, and a lot of you guys really liked that idea, so we're not going to do that this season because I already have the season set up in such a way that it's designed for our current system in which we have 4 episodes per litter, but starting next season, which I don't know exactly when that will be, but we are getting closer to the end of the season, but whenever that ends up starting, we'll end up we'll only have 4 litters, and we'll have 5 episodes per litter, and we'll take an extra one just to run around and try and explore and find some collectibles. So we will start to implement that. Now, another thing that I feel like Heather might be is perhaps a very sort of, how would you say it? She might be very inclined to, she might be a little bit, I guess, I don't necessarily want to say harsh, but I mean, she very determinedly was all about her own self-preservation, which it's not a great trait amongst humans. It's kind of a good thing to have in the wild. You're going to want to do what you can to make sure you stay alive, although it did mean she was a little bit of a nuisance to care for sometimes when she would steal food from her siblings and make it harder for us to care for them. But because she was so determined, she might take a very survival of the fittest mindset. And, you know, keep in mind, this is us adding some kind of human characteristics to our animal characters. And in real life, again, it ultimately does come down to survival, no matter what. Animals are going to do what they can to survive and to make sure some of their lineage lives on. So Heather might tend to be a little bit more, though, from this perspective of personifying our animals just slightly. She might tend to be a little bit more of a survivalist, I guess you could say. A little bit more of a, you better be able to take care of yourself. You better learn quickly, otherwise nature will take its course, perhaps. Perhaps not the most warm and fuzzy of all of our lynxes here. She might be a little bit harsher, a little bit more at peace with nature in some ways, and with the idea that if you're not strong enough to survive, the wild may end up winning, and you might not end up doing so well. So it's a little bit of a different perspective than what a lot of and again, this is very much personifying. Ultimately, you're not going to see an animal wouldn't take a perspective in this sense of the term. They would just be doing what they can to survive, what they can to help their family survive. But when we add a little bit of characterization, it's not a typical trait that we see amongst our animal characters here, but it is one that we might see with Heather here, because she was always very inclined. It feels to me like she'd be very inclined to be a firm believer in survival of the fittest. So that could be a little bit interesting. Certainly we're going to be doing our best we can here, but I don't know. If things go wrong, I think we're going to eat this, by the way, so that we keep our stamina up. If things go wrong, it'll be kind of interesting to see how Heather handles it. Now, certainly, I hope things don't go wrong. I hope we're able to get all of our kittens safely through this. I hope Heather's recklessness in heading directly towards the mountains, the very place that for generations lynxes have been too scared to go because they know how difficult it is and they've heard the stories. I hope her recklessness in challenging that directly will not prove to be a disaster in the end. It very well may. And we're going to take that risk because at some point I would like to see us kind of conquer the mountains, to be able to come through it and survive, to be able to kind of triumph over a harsh and hostile environment. And so far I do feel like Heather is one of the lynxes who would be willing to kind of challenge that, to kind of say, well, maybe we'll scrape out a living where others haven't managed to, and maybe it'd be a place where they could unlock some sort of, they could figure out some sort of secret of the mountains, perhaps, that is the key to surviving there, that would enable them to survive. I don't know. We'll have to see. Certainly it is possible to survive there. It must be possible to survive there. I mean, it's in the game, so it has to be able, we have to be able to survive. But I do get the sense that there's some sort of secret to it that we really haven't figured out, because what we've been trying just hasn't been working. And so maybe it'll be up to Heather to kind of figure that out. I apologize, I feel a little discombobulated at the moment. I am a little bit sick at the time. So I hope that's not showing too much here. I hope I'm not too incoherent today. I hope I can keep my train of thought. But let's go ahead and we'll let these guys eat. they should all be able to eat here, so that's a very good thing. I like when we can catch 2 rabbits in quick succession like that. I keep calling them rabbits, they're technically hares. But I like when we can catch 2 of the hares in quick succession like that, because it certainly helps to be able to feed all of our kittens at the same time. So if we can sneak over here, we might be able to catch some more hares and make sure that everybody stays even better fed. Oh, hey! That was easy. Oh my goodness. Everybody is lagging behind a little bit too, and I don't know how I feel about that. And I do see collectible over there, but I'm not sure I want to go all the way back for it, because I think we need to just keep moving, and I don't think Heather would be super bothered by all of that. It's a little ways back now, and the longer we stay here, the more chance we have of us running out of food. Okay, we got this. We're gonna eat it. But yeah, the longer we stay in one location, the more chance we'll exhaust whatever food supply is there, and so we've got to be careful to keep moving, because in survival mode, the prey will move on. It just won't respawn everywhere like it does in the easy mode of the game, so we need to be conscious of that as we're making our way through this game here. We need to be making sure that we're not going to risk overhunting an area. We need to stay on the move. And that's one of the things that makes surviving in the mountains here so difficult. It's hard to keep on the move there because there's a lot of things that can cause problems. The terrain is not the greatest, and not to mention the major threat in the mountains is the bears. There are bears. And so far we haven't had a bear actually take a kitten. But that's not to say it will never happen. That's not to say it could never happen. And I certainly hope Heather won't be the one to find out the hard way that the mountains are no easy place to survive. And that the bears there are a force to be reckoned with. We've been chased by them before. I think we even got knocked out by a bear once. And the tactic to avoiding the bears is mostly to dodge around them. So if they charge at you, I've heard they go in a straight line, and you can run out of the way and escape. But, of course, that's kind of hard to do when you have a bunch of kittens trailing after you, and it could get to be a little bit of a situation if we're not careful. We've just got to be really, really cautious about the moves we make here. And speaking of the mountains, here we are. So we probably won't get very far into them today, but we can kind of make ourselves at home in this little plateau area we're going to start off on. And, hopefully, we will make it and it won't be too much of an issue. I think it seems pretty clear here. It's a very different color than what I'm used to. It's going to be kind of hard to get used to the seasons again. It's much paler. It's a little bit more muted and a little bit more brownish than in the other places we've been. But the trick is to really just keep on your feet, keep going. And sooner or later, hope you find some food. Now, speaking of food, there's a rabbit. Hare, technically. There we go. Alright, is there anything more around here? I don't see anything. Oh my goodness, these guys freaked me out by getting so far behind. Alright. I think... Okay, we fed everyone together last time. That is not what I meant to do. Please stop. Okay, there we go. Hold on a sec. Alright, oh, okay. Oh dear. It looks like already we are seeing some dominance amongst our kittens. That could make things interesting. Now, I'm sure that's something that Heather would approve of, probably, because, again, she very much is of the opinion that you have to be strong to survive, and so if you're going to be, able to, if you're the one, oh, I don't know why my computer's doing weird things right now. Give me a moment. There we go. I had to reset my mouse into the game, I think, because it was clicking outside of it for some reason. But if she is that much of the opinion that if you have to be strong to survive, then certainly one who's strong enough to be the one to come in and get the food would be a good thing in her eyes. But when you're looking at trying to keep everyone alive, then it's really not. Oh, and we can already see a bear moving around down there. Now, there's no way to kill the bears, which makes sense. It's probably a good thing that they didn't choose to include that, because I don't think a lynx could legitimately kill a bear. Why is everything running already? apparently it's, we're already scaring stuff off. Okay, guys, come this way. There we go. But yeah, so let's see if we can maybe catch this rabbit here, this hare. I think... Oh, actually, it looks like it's about time to wrap up the episode, so we're going to go ahead and actually stop here for today. We'll have to see if Heather can manage to find some food next time, and we'll see how this goes. I'm a little bit apprehensive. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. But until then, this is Jay. Over and out.